We are live right now inside Lucas Oil Stadium, about 2 hours until kickoff. I just met Dennis from Davenport a couple of minutes ago, and what would you say the ratio is, Iowa to Michigan State?
Well, I thought it was just all Iowa, but I guess it's both of them.
Kids and teachers at Midland Elementary School in Lincoln, Illinois are getting tested for lead exposure. Now, the city is about an hour and a half southeast of the Quad Cities. You can see right here in this video, moved across several counties. A permanent memorial now sits in front of the home where 17-year-old Marcus Jones used to live. Here at Big Brothers Big Sisters, well, there are 175 kids on the waiting list at any given time. Bug buster.
Everything that's crawling around, you want to suck them up.
Your bags should have all arrived on Carousel A. Thank you. There are 1,500 tons of soybeans inside this barge. I'm gonna have huge muscles. Just me and the old Mississippi. Oh, this way?
Yeah.
I'm inside the warm tent showing off some of the cool toys that we've gotten so far. This morning, lots of dolls, toys for kids of all ages. So far, though, this one seems to be my favorite.
That's a life. And to take that, I mean, I just don't see what's in a person's mind to be able to, to justify it.
Carrie Nunn still wonders why her teenage son Marcus was murdered.
Does it get easier? No, I think it gets harder for the simple fact that the longer you're away from them, it's a realization that they're never going to be back.
Nunn's sleepless nights are far from over. She has another son to worry about.
We've talked to the detectives working on Marcus's case, and there's gunshots every night. It's everywhere. There is a problem with the violence with the kids.
And Davenport police agree.
Not necessarily are all role models positive role models.
The police response to gunshots has doubled from this time last year, and it's no surprise to officers that teens are often involved.
The targets of those shots fired have been people under 18, and some of that is because of that's how they figured they can handle their problems, and so it becomes retaliatory in nature.
Many of the teens he sees involved in a crime are a product of their environment.
And they look to either parents or older siblings or other relatives that are actually serving as role models, like in a negative aspect.
Captain Biggs says kids grow up learning to justify bad behavior, and they're mimicking what they see in their own families.
From personal experience, I know that I've dealt with family members and generations of different families that have been involved in criminal activity. I think in a lot of cases they feel that's the only option they have.
It is hard to rise above the stigma that a criminal past creates, but he's seen it happen.
And even though I have seen, I guess, the cycle of criminal activity within families, I've also seen success stories.
And each of these men prove that there is life after crime.
I grew up pretty much on the west end of Rock Island.
Ramsey Vesey, Anthony Jones, and Kelvin Gerard grew up in Rock Island's housing projects back in the 1970s and 80s. All of them served time for selling drugs.
So it was a wrong choice that I made to sell drugs within the community. By just trying to pay a bill, I'm looking at 10 to life.
I was in prison the whole time. My kids growing up.
Now each man is trying to create a better future for themselves and the young people around them, leading by example.
In order for you to become who you want to be, you have to let go of who you used to be.
Kelvin now works to be a good role model for his children.
I just hope that they can see what I did and see it was wrong and grow from it and don't do what I do.
Rett syndrome is a rare brain disorder. It's caused by a spontaneous gene mutation. Boys are almost never diagnosed with it, but Rett affects roughly 1 in every 10,000 girls. When they're born, they develop normally, but then they suffer a devastating regression of skills. That's what's happening to 9-year-old Taryn from DeWitt. But with her family's help, she's rising up against Rett syndrome. 9-year-old Taryn is watching one of her favorite episodes of Sesame Street. Like any other child would, Taryn smiles and she laughs. Unlike most other children, though, Taryn's communication skills pretty much end here.
She is in there. That's the thing about girls with Rett. They are there, but just unable to communicate their thoughts and feelings through speech.
Taryn and other girls with Rett syndrome are often referred to as silent angels.
They talk with their eyes.
Doctors say Rett symptoms don't start showing up until a child is 6 to 18 months old.
She was literally like the best baby. She was very engaging. Yes, she were. She was never unhappy. I really can't say she was an unhappy baby.
Melissa Henschel says her daughter was crawling and babbling like any other baby, but that's where her progress stopped. Taryn wasn't able to bear weight on her legs. She wasn't trying to stand or climb.
I mean, what you see her do right now is pretty much what she's done her entire life.
At 18 months old, the family began visiting different doctors.
Rett was mentioned in the report, but as unlikely.
It's actually very rare. Just anecdotally, over the top of my head, in my last 7 years of practice and 2 years of residency, I have seen one Rett syndrome case in my residency, and it is difficult to diagnose.
So, for 6 years, doctors couldn't give Taryn's family any answers. Then, after a seizure-like episode, a neurologist diagnosed Taryn with Rett syndrome.
And you cry. And why?
A disorder known for a shortened lifespan, loss of mobility, even the loss of reflexes like swallowing.
She can't dress herself. She can't brush her own teeth. She can feed herself with her hands, but can't use a utensil. She can't take herself to the bathroom. The hand wringing.
It's also a symptom of Rett, and because of it, Taryn's hands are covered in calluses. In May, Taryn started having seizures.
And we had a seizure every hour, hour and a half for 3 days.
There's no treatment for Rett, and there's no cure, but there is hope.
The sooner that we have people, know what Rett is and know that it is possibly a treatable, possibly curable disorder, the fewer parents have to worry about losing their daughter.
New research suggests that a treatment may not be far off.
Hopeful that more will be done in her lifetime, that she can have a better quality of life.
It's always right to be hopeful. I mean, that's what we can hope for. Medicine is growing. The research is developing day by day.
In the meantime, Taryn's family continues to raise awareness about this rare disorder.
She is more than Rett syndrome. Rett syndrome is what's holding her back. It's what's keeping her from talking to you.
But that doesn't mean you can't talk to her.
Know that these girls have potential and they have hope, and that someday, hopefully, they will be as quote-unquote normal as you are, and they hear you, they see you, they understand you.
She can understand, but because Taryn really can't communicate, she has her own informational card. You see it here. It's purple. It has her picture on it. Her family hands it out to people when they meet Taryn. That way they can find out about Rett syndrome and learn more about this 9-year-old rising up against it. With 67,000 fans inside Lucas Oil Stadium, there's one couple from Burlington, Iowa, cheering just a little bit louder for number 33, rushing for almost 1,000 yards this season, scoring 12 touchdowns. Jordan Canzeri is also making an impact on one Iowa family that they'll remember long after the Hawkeye running back moves on from Iowa City.
Who's become a dear family friend of ours since August of 2014 when our son Jackson was at the University of Iowa Children's Hospital.
In June of 2014, Eric and Anna Ertz's son Jackson was 12 years old and diagnosed with leukemia. 47 days later, Jackson died.
His cancer came on quick, strong, and the poor kid, he didn't have a chance.
When Jackson started his treatment at the University of Iowa Children's Hospital, he hoped to meet one of Iowa's football players, and it happened.
Jordan made one of Jackson's very last adventures for him, so it was wonderful.
Jackson passed away 2 days later, but the family's relationship with Canzeri is everlasting.
He's just been with us probably since that very first visit.
The Ertzes gave Canzeri a bracelet. It says, "I'm with Jackson."
He's worn this bracelet ever since day one, and he never takes it off.
So the couple made a sign to hold up during the Big Ten championship game. It says, "I'm with Canzeri."
It's the best thing that we can do for him. Jackson was a Hawkeye fan, and I thought, how are we ever going to go to a game again, or how are we going to watch a game knowing that Jackson was in Iowa City, he passed away in Iowa City, and I just didn't know if I was going to get that magic back.
They say Canzeri brought the joy back into Iowa football for them.
He's reminded us that they're still good in our lives, and he's been a godsend, for sure. We're going to cheer on all the Hawkeyes, but Jordan, we're kind of biased.
Yeah, we're definitely biased.
He's our man.
Eric and Anna are bringing some good news with them to Indianapolis, too. The couple just told me that they are 15 weeks pregnant, and they've already asked their favorite running back if they can use the name Jordan. He said yes. In Indianapolis, Morgan Otier, KWQC TV 6 News.